Okay, then.
And welcome back into a brand new episode of Tribal Council Chat, the flagship show of the Reality Realm Network. And we are off to a fantastic start as I had to burp right when I hit the record button. My name is Bruce Heller.
And my name is Brett Parnell, and Say is my favorite player of the new era.
Oh, does he not like her?
I don't think he does. I don't know. You guys don't talk very kindly about her on here.
I. She seems like a nice enough person. I just don't like the game she's playing. If I
Hmm.
were out there, she would drive me insane.
Actually, I'm pretty confident Brett doesn't like Say because I'm pretty sure um, he feels even more strongly that she's playing a terrible game than you do.
Yeah. Honestly, the thing that rubbed me the wrong way was the you're not allowed to take a nap thing.
Oh, I know,
Like, you can't tell me what to do. Go
but
away.
um, she's like playing into that now. Like
Yeah.
there's something on one like she's got a merch store on Etsy, and one of her shirts, it's like save Ivor, and then it's instead of outwit outplay alas, it's something take no naps and something else. I don't remember what they all are.
The funniest part of the you can't take a nap thing was that she was doing that so he wouldn't lose track of Mary, and Mary ran off during that, and they both lost track of her.
Right.
It's so funny to me. But launching into
Anyway,
episode.
I'm not actually Brett Parnell.
Oh, yeah, we probably should have specified that. But oh well. This is Kevin Oliver. He may or may not be a huge Say fan. I don't know. We'll get into
And
it. I texted more with Kevin last night than I ever text with people about episode co-host about episodes before I
yeah, I
record.
kind of wondered if maybe you forgot that I was gonna be on here today, or
No, you
what that
just
was
kept
about.
responding and sucking me in.
What do you want me to do? I'm sorry I don't ignore you like you do me.
I don't always ignore you. I just ignore you when I want to.
Exactly.
But no, I got sucked into it last night, but I usually just like the recordings to be fresh, but I'm sure we'll rehash the same conversation we had.
I don't have any changes in my opinion, so
I don't either, but you never truly answered my question.
which was
How is Okay, I guess we'll get into it now instead of at the end. So Cedric twice now has sent someone home that wanted to work with him in favor of someone that he has told people he doesn't want to work with long term. How does that benefit him? I
I
just
don't
want
think
an answer to that.
I don't think it does benefit him. I don't think
Okay, so
um
you weren't disagree. You don't actually disagree with me then.
I in in the full concept no, but in the arguments themselves, in the logic themselves I disagree.
I
I
just,
think that Cedric thinks he's doing the right thing.
yeah, I
But
just
that
don't know how he arrives at that conclusion is what I'm confused about.
I'm telling you, I think Say is doing that good of a job at making him believe that he's that he wants to keep her in at least for now.
Yeah, and he left her out of this last minute vote change. What are the odds she gets like upset about that and that adds to her wanting to take him out eventually?
Well, I'm sure it will, but I'm not sure that Say's got a lot of time to worry about that as we're heading into Mergatory.
No, because she's rubbing her tribe the wrong way, and
And everybody else. I mean,
and the
heck,
people that haven't been on a tribe with her yet, the same thing will happen.
well, even the people who haven't been on a tribe with her yet still don't like her already because of her outburst after the reward challenge.
Oh yeah, oh we'll get to that. That's one thing you and I didn't text about was her being upset about people celebrating their win.
Yeah,
Again, I don't want to dislike her. This is just the position I'm in.
she's so messy, and I don't know that I'm not convinced that she's playing as poorly of a game as other people,
Yeah.
but I absolutely am fascinated by her.
She's not playing as poorly of a game as some people think, because for some reason Cedric clearly thinks she's like ride or die for him, even though he sat there and told people he doesn't want to work with her long term, which could have been lying. I don't know if he ever said that in a confessional or not, which
It
is
was
the only time we can ever truly take what they're saying as truth.
right.
But
I don't
still,
ever remember hearing it in a confessional. But what I do know is whether he believes that or not, the thing that he does believe is that besides himself, she is the person that he can trust the most. And I don't know why he thinks that, but
no,
evidently she's doing something right, and that's what he thinks. And if I got somebody who I believe I can trust more than anybody, I mean, no matter, I mean, of course, we're seeing this grand scheme of things. We're seeing it all play out from a bird's eye view. He does not get that luxury on the island.
yeah, that's
So,
true.
so when he believes that he can trust her more than anybody, why wouldn't he want to ride with her?
Yeah, the fact that he's arrived at that conclusion is what baffles me, I guess.
Right. And I'll remind you once again, like I just said, he's not seeing the same thing we're seeing.
No, he has seen how she reacts to receiving votes, though, and he voted for her twice in one tribal. Like, I would be on guard a little bit personally.
I think he's just gullible.
Yeah, but no, my biggest thing wasn't that I wasn't getting onto him for trusting her that much. Well, I guess I was. I was just this is the second time he's made this same decision now, and I don't know how either of them have benefited him. But we'll find out. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hey, they're both still there. So,
The Justin
and
one
hey,
was worse
tell me
though.
this.
That one, the Justin move was
Oh,
like your number one since the beginning of the game. I stand by that being terrible. This one
no, I
I just
agree.
met a couple days ago. I can be convinced otherwise on this one.
I agree. I think that the Justin move um, was a very bad move for Cedric. I'm not convinced that the Bianca move was the wrong move. But we can dive into more of that when we actually get there. But what I will say is, for somebody who's the hot button topic of a lot of this in Cedric, and who's being put in these hard situations early, he still has the trust of like everybody. Look at this being the second time in a row where he pretty much decides as a tribal.
Yeah. I will
Not
make
in a
one
row.
note. He has the trust of everyone other than the one person that he has outright saved twice.
And maybe he'll have
There's
more
something
trust.
kind of funny and ironic about that. Like, not even criticizing him for making those moves. That just makes me laugh for some reason.
And maybe he'll have more trust for saving her a second time.
Yeah, maybe. I
We'll
feel like
see.
she's going to focus on being left out more than being saved, but
That
hopefully I'm
that's
wrong.
that's what I expect, but stranger things have happened, that's for sure.
Because he saved her before, and her focus was, oh, he voted for me twice.
Well,
Which
to
is
be fair,
fair,
to be fair, I'd be pissed if somebody voted for me twice too.
which
This
is
time,
why you send the person home that you vote for twice.
exactly. But this time he didn't vote for her, so
Yeah,
she doesn't have that to hang on.
yeah. So diving into the actual recap, we're off to a good start here. This is fun.
Yeah.
We have a challenge
Wait,
almost at the
wait,
beginning.
wait. Do we not do player of the episode and stuff first?
I forgot about that. Go ahead.
Man, no, I was gonna have you go first.
Well,
Actually,
this is about how long it normally takes to get to the recap. We just did vote out recap before anything else. So it threw
but
me off.
hey, look at me. I'm not even the regular host here, and I'm setting the structure.
Oh,
You go first.
congratulations. You're more organized than me. Giant accomplishment.
I want you to do yours first.
Huh. Eva,
I knew you were
not
going to
even
say
game
that.
related, just this was her episode.
Yeah.
I can
So
make a game argument because she has an idol now, but
no. Yes, she does. So I want to give it to Eva, but I'm not going to. And if you would have been sitting in this room with me last night as I was watching this, you'd be even more shocked that I'm not giving it to her. I was crying along with Jeff Probst, and this was my favorite moment. Stop doing that. You're distracting me.
I was screenshotting it to use for the thumbnail.
Oh, okay. We're good.
Oh, now he's okay with it.
But what I was saying was and we'll get into it when we get to that part. That was my favorite moment. Maybe this might have been my favorite episode of all time because of that moment on its own. But you're asking me for player of the week.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Eva was the player of the week. I think she was the character of the week. If we're looking at it at a value of entertainment, at value of what we saw, even hands down. But when I'm talking about gameplay, you're not going to like it. I'm giving the player of the week to Mr. Cedric.
Fair.
Because once again, he finds himself in this place of everybody trusting him and him basically deciding the tribal and who goes home. Second time in 3 tribals that he's been the one to do that. And bravo, Cedric.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's going to help him in the long term, but it's player of the episode, not player of the season. So
yeah,
that's where I'm going.
And the funniest thing is Bianca gets herself sent home, long story short, because she told Cedric she didn't have a vote. When she did that, I was thinking, my first thought was, oh, smart move. This will establish a lot of trust between them. He'll see how much she trusts him and wants to work with him. And nope, I was wrong.
Yeah, I saw that on Chat BCC where you were like, I think this is a really good idea. And then you were like,
nope.
I was wrong.
My logic for thinking it was a good move still tracks.
Yeah.
I don't know about the accuracy of it, but my favorite jokey line. I don't know if this was in the chat I'm a contributor on or the chat that I just follow. That's a giant chat. Someone made the comment, "Don't tell Cedric you lost your vote. You go home. Tell Cedric you lost your vote. You go home." And that made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely, maybe it makes a difference if you tell him or not when you consider timing, but that line made me laugh.
And I want to make it known, Cedric has voted for a third of the cast at this point.
Yeah, 3 episodes in, he had voted for his entire tribe.
Which is 5 other people, and now add Bianca, that's 6, a third of the cast.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I love it and hate it at the same time.
It's a wild stat.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can get into it, I think.
Yeah, so we have the typical, post-tribal Vula stuff, not a ton of notes there. We then go to a challenge, and I'm
Oh, wait. I do have a note from Vula Camp.
Okay.
I thought that it was interesting that Kyle lied and told everybody that the reason that he played his idol was because he went back to camp and noticed that it looked like his bag had been searched through.
That makes sense.
To keep up this charade that Kyle and Camilla aren't working together.
Yeah, I missed that. That's really smart, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
So we go to the challenge, and I'm very used to having one challenge an episode now. I love that we had 2 this episode.
Oh, absolutely.
I know it was, why is the challenge at the beginning of the episode? What is happening? And then right after that, I wrote, oh, it's just a reward challenge.
I started writing reward challenge before he even opened it up as a reward challenge because I knew there's no way immunity was happening.
I was too busy being dumb and confused to be logical. But the way this works is we're throwing sandbags at rotating targets, and you hit it enough times to release a bag of balls. and
And
you
then Jeff
bounce the
Probst makes a
ball.
ball joke.
He did. I was not expecting that.
Did you listen to On Fire today?
No, I forgot.
He was talking about how anytime that small balls are being used in a challenge, he reverts back to his fourth grade self and always is making jokes.
Well, once you get these, you bounce them off this like net trampoline into a net bowl, and you carry the bowl to the end, and you have to like roll the balls onto a specific little target spot where it gets lodged in a table.
Mm-hmm.
And our reward is that we go to the sanctuary where good things happen. And I wrote that whole thing out, the sanctuary where good things happen, and because that's what it's called. And you get pastries and donuts and ham and cheese croissants. And then second place gets a smaller array of treats at their camp.
And there was a quote here from Say, donuts? And then she goes, wait, donuts?
Donuts? I want donuts.
Oh, me too, but I can't decide if Say wanted donuts or didn't want donuts.
I don't think Say could decide.
I That's fair.
A
But it
nice
didn't.
jelly donut sounds really good right now.
A what donut?
Jelly.
Eh,
That's my favorite kind.
not my favorite kind.
Well, then I get yours.
You can have mine, and I'll have your Krispy Kreme regular.
Okay, I have a hot-ish take here.
If
While we're
you
on the
if you
topic of
say what
Krispy
I'm,
Kreme,
watch yourself here, buddy.
I'm just gonna dive into this.
Watch yourself.
Why do
Right?
people act like Krispy Kreme is so like head and shoulders better than every other donut shop? It's not that It's a glazed donut. It's not that much different. It's not just head and shoulders better like everyone makes it out to
It
be.
is though.
Dislike it, but
It
what are we
is.
doing here?
It tastes better. It's the best tasting donut that I've had in my life.
It's not that special.
It is. Especially if you get them hot, which I don't usually get because I don't live anywhere near Krispy Kreme.
That's just my donut hot take, and my Krispy Kreme hot take is that it gets, and it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on it. It's just
Bruce
overhyped.
hates Krispy Kreme. That's what I'm going with.
Well, you don't like old people, so which we learned on Pit Stop Pals a few months ago.
Watch Pit Stop Pals, part of the Reality Realm Network.
To be fair, we actually didn't like that team by the end of it.
You didn't like that team.
I didn't like half of that team.
I liked them.
Gretchen wasn't like, there's a lot more annoying, but she uses the word God every 3 seconds, and she's just not helpful.
That's fair.
But in the reward challenge, Logie wins. Vula finishes second. Vula finally has a flint now, I believe.
Yeah.
And this is the first say note. Is she gets upset with people celebrating their win. And what I wrote down was, if you don't like it, then beat them. They earn the right to celebrate. If you don't want other people to celebrate winning, then beat them and win yourself.
But she was sitting, so she couldn't have a say in that.
This is kind of my reaction to like, oh, that player celebrates their touchdowns too much. Okay, then stop him. Don't give him a chance to celebrate.
Yeah, I think that that was a little much for Say.
Yeah, and like even if like you do need to be conscious of that in this game because anything can come back to hurt you. But pointing it out like that isn't going to help you any.
Oh, not at all.
Like,
I have a few notes from in the challenge, but yeah, from in the challenge. One of them was that my boy Mitch Curry is on fire. He hit the target every time, and he made all three of the balls for Siva.
I know that PE teacher background is really showing up for him this week.
That's right. Also, Cedric sucks at this challenge. Did you see that
Cedric
one
sucks at most challenges.
when he threw the ball down at the trampoline thing and it basically went straight up in the air? It was incredible.
That was very funny.
Oh, Jeff called it an abysmal effort.
What, Cedric?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then Say's attempt at encouraging her team was, I need a donut.
I missed that, but that's pretty on brand at this point.
It was.
I will give it to Say, like her or dislike her, she's a memorable character and she sticks out in your mind for sure.
Absolutely. I've been so tempted to buy this shirt from Say's Etsy shop that just says it's something about it's something about the Hoochie Mamas. I can't remember from episode 1. It's great.
I need Mary to open up a merch store just to see how unhinged some of her t-shirts would be based on some of her social media comments.
I want I want there's this mug of Mary. Actually, Mary might have a store.
She just seems very unhinged and it's kind
There's
of
this
hilarious.
there's this mug that Mary sells, and there's like 5 pictures of Mary on it, and one of them has a little Mary in the middle of Mary's forehead.
She's turning herself into a mythical creature now. Triclops Mary, but instead of a
So
third
funny.
eye, it's just another her.
So funny. So does
But,
that mean she has 4 eyes?
well, I guess so. So quadclops, is that a word?
It is now.
Cyclops, triclops, quadclops, dewclops.
I think that's just a clops.
That's just a person. So we leave the challenge and we go to Siva, and
Yeah.
Bianca's talking about how she lost her number one, but she's realizing it makes her less of a threat and says that she has to make new relationships here and play her game. And I like this.
Yeah. I had notes about that too. I think that I thought that Thomas being gone could, in the long term, like she said, kind of help her, but
Well,
it didn't. But
dang it.
yeah, yeah, I think she had the right idea. And I will say, I'll wait till later. Never mind. But I want to say that not in terms of Bianca, but in other Siva players, Say once again did some really Say things once they got back to camp.
And that was my next note, was her and Chrissy. But before I get to that, I just remembered another funny Cedric in the challenge moment
Yeah,
is in not the BCC chat that I'm a contributor on, but the Real Big Giant one that I just follow and comment on that you're also in.
yeah,
Someone in there, like one of the contributors, asked if Cedric is like the new era's worst challenge player,
I saw that.
which this person's hilarious and I love them, but Brandon exists. So I'm going to say
It,
no, it's not Cedric.
I love Brandon Donlin.
I
Um,
love him, but like
and
climbing a ladder.
somebody else's response. I don't know if you saw the response. Somebody said, "Well, it could be Claire Rafson, but we wouldn't know."
I saw that. Me and at least one other person is like, we love Brandon, but it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon's in the chat, in that chat, I believe.
And
So
Brandon works for RHAP full time now.
nice.
Yeah.
Does everyone who contributes on that work for RHAP?
Uh, Contributes on the BCC?
Yeah,
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
Way too many people.
No. But Brandon is like a producer on there now.
He produced when Michelle and Kelly were doing theirs.
Yeah,
Good
and
Lord,
he
he's
also
not even here and Michelle references are happening.
produces Club Condo.
Nice.
Yeah.
and nobody produces tribal council chat. We have free reign here.
Maybe one day.
Nobody is here to tell us to stay on topic. That's what we need on Pit Stop Pals. Is a producer saying, "Hey, stay on topic."
It wouldn't work.
Well, he can try.
Why can't it be she?
I was about to say, or she can try. I don't know. We need to stay
Anyway,
on topic better on that show, though.
so say she sat out of this challenge, told Jeff that she was tired and needed to rest, and then comes back to camp and is the first one to start eating fruit.
And Chrissy does not like this.
She is pissed. I said Say's getting on Chrissy's nerves.
Yeah, and Chrissy gets on Say's nerves at some point because later in the episode, Say tells someone that Chrissy's mothering her and counting the fruit I eat for some reason.
And in this scene, in a confessional not too far after or something, Say calls Chrissy a psychopath.
Oh my gosh.
Also,
right after Chrissy mentions not liking her, your guy Mitch, he mentions wanting Bianca to stay because Say is driving everyone nuts, is what he says.
Yes, Mitch and Bianca were conspiring against Say.
Yeah.
What was the clap for?
Just calling my dog. I didn't know what my dog was doing, so I called her into this room.
Oh, why don't you just shut the door?
Because sometimes when I do that, she's like climbing up on me and like knocked my ring light over one time. And if I leave the door open, she usually goes and lays down on a couch. And I think that's what she was doing this time. I just wasn't sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she just left again. So she's on her way to go lay down on a couch, which is fine. So, yes. And my next note after Mitch here is Say is annoyed at Chrissy and wants Chrissy gone. And I wrote, this mutual tension could be perfect for Bianca. It was. She misplayed it, but.
She was in the middle of playing it perfectly, which we'll get into.
Oh, yeah. She was going to send it to a tie vote, which would have pressured Cedric to either force rocks or send Say home.
Yeah. And I don't think he would have forced rocks.
I don't know. His weird aversion to saving her might have kicked in again. I don't think it would have, but I wouldn't have been. I can't be surprised with him anymore at this point.
That's fair.
He has surprised me twice and done what I didn't think he was going to do. Twice now.
Mm-hmm.
But we move to, and again, on my notes, I put in caps where we are. So this past section, I've had it say Siva. This next section is labeled The Sanctuary Where Good Things Happen.
And David got his beloved Milk.
We got the emotional music for Milk, too.
For Milk, yeah.
Man, I make fun of the name because Probst can't say the sanctuary without saying where good things happen. But I do like when we go to the sanctuary where good things happen. We get fun scenes.
Yeah, most of the time.
We need Say and Rome on a tribe together.
No, we don't.
They're poor tribe mates.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I just got an idea for a line blindside first boot.
Oh, cool. Great.
I was gonna be nice, but I just got a different idea. I might be nice.
So he's going to choose violence. That's what we just heard.
I don't have a third name for this idea yet, but
you'll get there, I'm sure.
But I should have said that. I should have just surprised you with it at the end.
I'll forget probably. Also, Charity started like crying here. We didn't get the emotional music for actual emotional things, but we got for Milk.
It's so funny. Emotional support Milk.
Emotional. Is that like my emotional support dumpster fire?
Is that a thing?
I sent it to you the other day. You ignored it. Rachel sent it to me in the mail. It's a little.
Oh, I do remember. Okay, I remember seeing that. I thought I responded. Oh well. I do have a quote down from Charity here saying we weren't being sore winners. There's something called a sore loser, talking about say like you guys are being sore winners. Stop celebrating. Stop being happy that you won. That whole thing. I'm
Yeah,
paraphrasing. She didn't actually say stop being happy you won. That's just kind of what it felt like.
the Logie tribe does not like say.
Nobody does. Mary did in one episode, and Brett's convinced it's fake, but
I don't think it was fake, but
no, I think they genuinely mended fences there. We discussed that a little bit, and you actually texted me, "Hey, you disagreed with him on something, and I agreed with you, but I don't remember what it was."
yeah.
But another interesting quote from Eva here, and Eva
Yeah.
Eva says, "I don't know what it is about Charity, but she comes off as fake to me."
And I put uh-oh when I heard that because Charity's my winner pick.
Eva's also just she's so used to being around guys with her hockey teams. I just think she has a bit of like an aversion to want to work with women in this game, it feels like. Because it was
But
Joe and then it was David she bonded with right at the swap. And I don't know. I like Eva. She's one of my favorites.
mhm.
Now that Thomas is gone, she might be my very favorite.
I'm a Mitch boy till the end.
So that's something to look out for. Those were my two quotes I wrote down from the sanctuary where good things happen.
That is all I have from the sanctuary where good things happen as well.
Yes, he's joining me in calling it that. I love this. But we go to Vula, and this was my favorite like episode scene of the season until we get to the Eva scene. This
Really? You liked this better than the first Eva scene?
well, I don't know. This was up there.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed this
This
a
was
lot.
very much up there for a very short period of time until it became the second best scene of its own episode, unfortunately. But we're at Vula and we're storytelling. And back to back, we get that Shaheen's parents came here from the Iranian Revolution and his dad was captured on the border of Iraq. And then Camilla tells us about her father's struggles he faced in Sri Lanka. And Kyle tells us that he had a white mom and a dark
No, that was.
skinned black. What?
I thought that was Joe.
I wasn't paying. I could have been. I missed either Joe or Kyle's story because I only have three stories written here.
Kyle didn't have a story. It was Joe.
Okay, that's why I was confused. Because
Yeah,
as I was writing this, Kyle was on the screen. So he must have been listening.
he was.
Joe is telling us that he had a white mom and a very dark skinned black dad in the Jim Crow era when they got together. And this scene was so cool.
It was. And it also made me think just wait until Emerge when Shaheen's story and Camilla's story reach Mary and her story about her parents and their I can't remember what that thing was called that they were a part of.
And then plot twist.
You know what
Final
I'm talking
Tribal
about though?
is what?
You know what I'm talking about though?
No.
The whatever square, the picture.
Oh, Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, that one.
And then plot twist and final tribal is four instead of three. And it's Shaheen and Camilla and Mary and Eva, and they all have awesome stories battling for the win.
What about Mitch?
I can't. I already expanded final tribal one seat. I can't expand it two seats. That's just crazy talk.
Hey, you can do anything.
I have said if I ever hosted one of those like online games, though, I would make it a final four just to like throw a twist in there.
Everybody would hate you.
What else is new? Joking. People like me, I think. I hope. I tell myself that when I go to sleep at night.
And
But
when he wakes up in the morning, and when he has lunch, and
and when I walk past a mirror.
And when his dog doesn't want to sit on the same couch as him.
That's about 50-50. Sometimes she just wants to sit in her chair, and sometimes it's like you're being too energetic and like climbing on my shoulders. I need you to get down. So,
Hmm.
and
But
then
anyway,
sometimes we actually share the small couch. I have a small couch and a big couch. Sometimes we share the small couch well, but she lays down with me when I lay down on the long couch.
yeah, I know I've been to your house.
Not since I got her though.
No, but I meant the couch thing.
Oh,
You
well,
you were
people
explaining
don't
your
know
couch.
that.
That's true. Um, the other thing I had here was that after they get done with their little story time, they kind of use that as a binding thing, and I just wrote Vula Strong here because these four could make for a really good block.
Yeah. And so right after that scene, we go to the immunity challenge. And my first note I wrote down because I missed Pro explaining it, so I wrote down ask Kevin to explain. But I was writing down how it works while it was going. So what I have is we're untangling these three ropes that are like braided in knots.
That's not
Then
how it starts.
it's not how it. That's the first part I saw.
Okay, well let me just talk through it, and then
Okay.
because it started with swimming, diving in the water and swimming to shore, pulling the boat with the chest on it behind them.
I totally missed that. I don't remember seeing that. I must have been
And
in the other room.
then they had the braided ropes, and they had to that were all hooked to giant sandbags that they had to unbraid this. Once it was unbraided, they could get the key that would unlock the chest. That then they got their balls out. That they had to do the table maze
Hold
to
on,
let
you
them
missed
know
that
the
they
four
had to
different.
crawl under the
Oh,
bar that was like
I'm
buried
sorry.
in the sand.
They got their balls from the chest. Then they had to crawl under the log, and then they had to get to the table maze and do the
And they,
table
and
maze
they
and
had
land
to
their
dig
ball in the
out the
different.
sand from under the bar.
Oh yeah, that's how that always works. That looks like you're swimming.
Swimming in sand.
Okay. If if that's how you're digging out the sand, that does not seem very efficient. Neither does that.
I hit
You
the
okay?
shelf behind me and it made a noise and it startled me.
That's what you get. And Star and Cedric sit for their respective teams here.
Yes.
And Loggy was first out of the water because you still hadn't got back by that point, evidently. But now you should be fine.
And wouldn't you know it, well, Vula wins, but while we're battling for second, wouldn't you know it, we have another say moment in this challenge.
I got that too.
Probst goes, oh, Say, feeling the pressure for Siva. And Say goes, I don't feel any pressure. And my note here before Probst said his next line was, stop talking to Probst and focus on what you're doing, which I feel like is what her tribe mates were probably thinking. But right well, as I was typing that, he responds to her saying she doesn't feel any pressure in all caps as he's talking and goes, well, you should.
Yep,
I'm like, oh, we got Sassy Jeff a little bit.
that's right. I loved it.
This is like the fourth time this episode we've had a say specific moment though.
It's the Say Show, man. What can we say?
It is, and I can't tell if I like it or hate it, but it's one
I
of those
love it.
two.
I love it.
It's wearing thin quickly.
I guess I just have more patience.
Maybe. You do put up with me a lot.
Amen.
But I put up with someone that for a year of school that takes more patience than I do. So there's that.
Are you talking about Theo?
No, the Joker.
Oh yeah.
It's
I'm glad I never had to do that.
not that bad. But Eva ends up winning it for Logie. Do you want to take it away explaining from here for a
Sure,
little bit?
I can. All right. So Eva is struggling. It's the end of the challenge. She's crying. She's not able to um, get her ball through the maze. Eventually, she does, while Joe is trying to calm her from the next mat over, telling her breathe, sis, and all this stuff. She finally hits it. Loggy wins. Um, but Eva started to get super overstimulated. What are you doing?
I accidentally turned the flashlight on my phone.
Oh, okay. Eva started to get super overstimulated, as we know she's autistic, and she started shaking, and she started um, crying
Yelling.
and screaming. Pretty, yeah. It was pretty. It was pretty intense there for a minute, and in this time where she couldn't help herself any further, Jeff broke the wall of the game here and let Joe go over from his mat at Vula to her mat at Loggy and console her and do what we saw Eva tell Joe to do a few weeks ago in the first episode. And he went from hugging her to holding her hands together, squeezing her hands, and back and forth, and giving her reassurances here. You're in a safe place. I'll see you on the other side. Um, it was just a really beautiful moment. She came down off that really fast, and it was probably I have written down right here, most amazing thing I've ever witnessed on Survivor.
Yeah, I wrote on Facebook, I love when the show transcends the game.
Yeah, this
And
was
you know what? I loved the scene in the premiere of her teaching him how to get her through this. The thought did not occur to me that we would see that put into action on the show.
yeah, it was incredible, and um wow, I as other people might not have gotten emotional until a little bit later. As I was watching Joe console Eva here, I started to tear up.
Same.
Um, because, well, for one, it's just beautiful to to see humans treat each other so kindly, because we're in the world we live in is very negative. Um, but also, I know, or I have uh, plenty of people that I'm close with that are autistic. I was just at youth group last night with a little 5-year-old autistic boy who was having a really rough time, and so to see um, representation of that on my screen and that play out in a real life way was incredible.
Yeah.
Um, but then Eva tells her story to everybody,
She
and
does, and it's so cool.
it was incredible. And
I did not see that part coming.
no, me either.
Even like as Joe was consoling her, I didn't think that would be followed up by her revealing it to everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And she finishes by saying autism isn't a bad thing. It just makes her different, and the way that she works is different, and we as humans should celebrate those things about other people and not just push them down and and treat them like they're less than. And like you said, this with I think Survivor is its best. You didn't say it this way, but I'm going to. I think Survivor's at its best when it's transcending this game.
I kind of said that.
Yeah,
Not
but
in those exact words,
I
but
didn't want to put words in your mouth, so that's why.
well, I do it to you all the time.
That's true. I'm just more respectful.
Well,
But yeah, and Jeff, he starts crying, and he explains. He's talking about how he has kids and how impactful that moment was to him, and we hear from Joe talking about how it didn't matter to him that this was a game. It didn't matter to him that what people saw him do for Eva could make repercussions game wise, but he chose to be a human in that moment, not a Survivor player. He said that he would hope that somebody would do that somebody would treat his daughter that way if she was in a certain situation like that. And um, wow, this was I can't put into good enough words how amazing this scene was to me. The best thing I've probably ever seen on TV.
Yeah. And what's cool is when we get back to camp, Star and Eva have been butting heads this whole season, is the first to like speak up and tell Eva how proud of her she is.
That was awesome.
And they
Yeah.
kind of putting the past behind her now and tells Eva, I'm on your side now, which was really cool.
Yeah, and I wrote that Star should be a motivational speaker because she was like all in on like Eva power here.
And Star inexplicably after that tells the whole tribe she has to beware.
Yeah.
And
Um
Eva then like works on it and unlocks it for her. And then again, more inexplicably and kind of shockingly, Star is just like, you know what? You keep the idol. You unlocked it anyway.
I couldn't believe that.
What was that?
I I I love it for Eva. I don't think that Star should have done that, but I love it for Eva. But I just
I,
my jaw hit the floor. I didn't know what to do with that.
I think I've talked myself into thinking it was a good move for Star.
I don't think it was, but
Because it's kind of, I don't think it was necessary, but first off, it's kind of a truce and like puts the heat between them, behind them. It shows Eva you're serious about working with her and establishes that relationship.
you
But
can do that
also,
without giving away the most powerful.
Everyone on original Logie knew she had that, and it was making her a target. That target is off of her now.
You can garner goodwill without giving away the most powerful thing that you have.
I didn't say it was necessary. I just said it might be helpful.
The
She could
thing the
have
thing is
she
I
could have
don't
done all of that without this. I just don't think it was a terrible move. And
I
it takes the target of having it off of her.
I don't think that the target is a real thing anymore, though, because now that we see Thomas and now Bianca out of this game, Loggie's going to look for any voting number they can get heading into merch.
Thomas and Bianca were the two that were considering going with her anyway, though. She didn't.
Right,
Nobody that was targeting her for that went home.
right, but they're not going to keep targeting her when they need her vote.
Maybe there's going to be 13 people on one beach. You can find.
Yeah, and Siva is going to be 6 of them.
Is Siva staying together for sure, though?
I think they will.
I don't know. I don't think it was great from Star, but I don't think it was terrible either. I think
No,
there are
I don't.
some
I don't think
benefits.
it was like. I don't think it was detrimental, but I don't think it helped her any. That's for sure.
It's not something I would do, but I respect it, is what I wrote down.
Okay.
And it very likely establishes a strong ally for Star, is the other thing I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
And gets rid of an adversary at the same time, because the two of them were targeting each other, even going into this swap.
Right.
So we then go back to Siva, and Bianca's doing a really good job pitting Say and Chrissy against each other, telling both sides and their allies, I'm voting with you. I put, this is smart but risky. If they compare notes, she could be in trouble.
I really think that this was the right move. And I think that Bianca would have secured her place for a long run in this game if she wouldn't have ditched this plan.
I agree. It's just risky because if they compare notes, then you're toast.
Right, but um, with how against each other Say and Christy are, there's no shot they're comparing notes.
Say and Chrissy aren't comparing notes, but Cedric and Mitch might.
And Cedric's not gonna. But Cedric was already talking with Chrissy and Mitch about voting for Say. So I don't think Cedric's going to blow up that spot. anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think that comparing notes was the thing that Bianca was going to have to worry about.
It just crossed my mind at all. It's the same thing that crossed my mind with Thomas and his journey. Is if someone else who went on this tells his tribe mates he's could be in, and it did happen, and it didn't affect him at all. But I was still kind of right about that.
Yeah, it did happen, and then the California girls just kind of ignored it.
I was. You haven't been on. You weren't on the show for this. I was like, cool. I was right. I feel vindicated. And then like 3 seconds later, I'm like, oh, they just don't care. He's just going with Mitch lied, not me, and they're eating it. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I like him, so I didn't want him to be in trouble. But I'm still claiming I was right on that in a way.
I think that you can claim that. I think that's valid.
That could have backfired if it wasn't Shaheen and Joe that he was with, and they just trusted him enough to eat up whatever he fed them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, and I know you listen to the exit interviews. I actually, like, while I was working at my desk writing a sermon, had Thomas's like exit interview playing on YouTube in the background, and him saying he had like instruction notes for Shaheen on how to go through bags made me laugh very much.
Mm-hmm.
And either he or Rob said Shaheen has no business working for TSA. Just roasting Shaheen's bag searching skills was very funny to me.
Yeah. And actually, are you a theater kid?
No, not at all.
So
I was in middle school, not in high school.
So when he says notes, they're not like instructions, but they're like critiques, like in theater. If I have notes,
I'm close enough.
I know I just
Yeah.
heard you say it that way, and so I was just kind of putting it more in the terms that Thomas was using it in.
In this case, critiques and instructions are kind of the same thing. It's here's how you do it better.
But I wouldn't call that an instruction.
You're telling him how to do something.
Yeah, telling him how to do it, not.
You're correcting him.
Yeah, but instructions aren't correctional; they're informative.
They can be both.
I disagree, but that's neither here nor there.
No, because now I need to instruct you on this.
Yeah, you're telling me on it.
Yes.
You're not correcting me.
You have to inform someone to instruct them.
Yes, instructions are informative. That is correct.
That's what I've been saying.
No, but critiques.
I was right.
No, critiques are correctional. Instructions are informative.
But corrections are information.
Everything's information.
Yeah, everything is informative.
So is everything a critique?
No, it's like squares and rectangles. All critiques are informative. Not everything informative is a critique. Because you're still informing them on what they did wrong and what you're critiquing them about.
Right, but that doesn't make.
And you're instructing them on how to do better next time.
Yeah, you can tell them how, you can tell them what to do, but that does not make this the same as telling them what they did wrong, which is what a critique is.
I feel like a lot of times critique and instructions come at the same time, though.
They can come at the same time.
Here's what you do better next time.
They can come at the same time, but they are two separate things. And the audience is not here to listen to us argue about the difference between critiques and instructions.
I'm not arguing. I'm instructing on why I'm right.
That does not make sense.
Well, I'm right, and I'm explaining why.
But you're not instructing anything.
But I'm informing, and instructions are
informative. Instructions are informative, but that does not mean everything informative is an instruction.
You're like a wind-up toy sometimes. I just say one thing, and all of a sudden that happens. And I never know when it's going to happen. That was great. Where were we?
I can't wait for Brett to hear this.
It'll be like roundtable talk in the breakfast episode all over again.
No, because that was way worse than what this was.
I don't think that was as long as he made it out to be. He said that was like 25 minutes. I think it was like 10. Which still,
yeah, it wasn't 25. I agree, it wasn't 25 minutes, but
and Either I or the group chat with all three of us will probably be getting a text right about now. But
Well, probably not now because Brett can't hear our recording.
well, at this point in the episode.
Yeah.
But here we go. Bianca decides she trusts Cedric. She wants to establish trust with him long term. So she takes a risk and she tells him she doesn't have a vote. And I wrote, I think this is smart. This will establish trust between them.
And I wrote the
We've
opposite.
seen this work before.
And I wrote the opposite. I wrote in all capitals, dumb.
If it wasn't Cedric, it would have been smart. I feel like most people would have taken this as like, okay, we're working.
I don't think it's smart to drop a truth bomb on somebody 5 minutes before tribal in any situation.
Yeah, the timing wasn't great. The idea of like using this information to establish trust is a smart idea.
I completely agree.
I don't
if you're going to do that, it needs to be hours ago, not right as you're getting ready to go to tribal. And I think that is what killed her.
But if she had told, and this is another debate we have, because you were saying if she had told him hours before, she's still there. And I don't
I think so.
Because here's the thing, if she tells him hours before, it's still 2-2 with her in the middle. Cedric's not going to want to go to a tie. He's going to see a sitting duck and send her home. Just like what happened.
But the thing is, he can't send her home on his own. And just because Cedric might want to vote her out doesn't mean Chrissy's going to want to vote her out or anybody else at that point.
But Chrissy did
with 5 minutes before tribal. Once again.
Yeah.
Because
they have hours to work this out, and they realize it's we vote together to send her home or go to Rocks. I think there's a good chance she goes home even if she tells Cedric this information hours before.
I really don't think she does.
I don't know. There's a chance she doesn't. I think there's a better chance she does than you give it credit for, though, because Cedric's going to want to avoid a tie. So
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance. I don't think it would happen, but there's a chance. I'll give it 75-25. Maybe 70-30. But I'm not going to say that it's an even 50-50 or anything.
I don't know. She went home anyway with them not having time to think about it. I don't know if them having time to think about it would have worked in her favor.
I think it would have, because then she wouldn't have been. It wasn't I think that it was less about the fact that she didn't have a vote and more about the fact that she kept it a secret for so long as to why Cedric did what he did.
I agree, but also, do you think Cedric would willingly go to a tie or even Rocks? I
think that Cedric's more than likely going to flip and get Say out of here.
But he had the chance to do that anyway.
Yeah, and he felt betrayed by Bianca and didn't because of that.
And this is where the line I said earlier kicks in that made me laugh. If you don't tell Cedric you lost your vote, you go home. And if you do, you go home. It's about timing. It's like you said, but it's still kind of funny.
It's funny.
At this point, just losing your vote when he's on your tribe is a death sentence, I think.
Just nobody knows how to play it right. That's my opinion.
Well, there's two options. Tell people or don't. And we've seen both options result in the same result.
How about a third option? Tell people not 5 minutes before tribal, as I've been saying for the last 3 minutes.
Too complicated. I don't get it.
Well, that's your fault. You shouldn't be a Survivor podcaster if you can't.
Well, also that falls into the category of telling them.
Yes, but I wouldn't. But you said two options, and
tell them or don't.
Hang on. Neither of the things that you're referring to, what happened as telling, and what happened with Justin is not telling. But neither of those things are what I was saying, as in like the timing wise.
Yeah.
You're saying that we've seen both things, but we haven't seen a reasonable tell. We've seen hey, it's about to be time for tribal. Trust me, save me. ugh, you don't have time to think about it or talk about it, throw it at a wall. No.
She might still be here if she had done it earlier. I think it's a pretty even chance that she still goes because they want to avoid a tie. Because if they tie and it deadlocks again, then everyone's at risk because rocks.
Right. And I don't think Cedric would go that far. For say. For Justin, sure. For say, I don't think so.
Well, if he do it, he sent Justin home. If he'd do it for Justin, he'd certainly do it for Say, who he kept over Justin.
No, what I'm
He
saying
outright
is
had the chance to choose between them, and he chose.
what I'm saying is if he might have if it was Justin instead of Say, he might go to Rocks for Justin, but not for Say.
I think he has more loyalty to Say than Justin.
I disagree. Simply because
he proved it.
let me explain why. Simply because there was a lot that went into that we didn't see. There was like 2 hours of conversations. But before he decided Justin wasn't or was going home.
That's insane.
It was the longest non-final tribal council tribal in Survivor.
And they showed none of anything Justin said.
Because it ended up not being relevant, I believe.
I feel like that kind of proves my point, though. He heard both of their arguments extensively and chose to keep Say over Justin. I feel like that shows he has more loyalty to her because he wanted to keep her in the game when he had the choice.
But we watched him vote for Say over Justin twice in a row before that.
Because he played that tribal terribly. Every discussion about that tribal seems to come back to he played that terribly. If you're going to keep Say, don't vote for her. If you're going to vote for her, keep Justin.
I agree.
Somehow did one of each.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. That's the craziest part.
Everybody still trusts him. I don't get it.
Other than Say.
Right.
Which is the one person he has stuck his neck, like he has gone out of his way to save twice now.
Mm-hmm.
But moving into a line blindside first boot now.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
I had a couple more things because we never even actually hashed out the actual. We hashed out the results of tribal, but we never really talked about the actual tribal itself. My first thoughts as we were going into tribal were, I think we're going to have a live tribal because we never saw Cedric tell anybody about Bianca, but because of the way the edit was reading, I had a feeling Bianca was going home. So I thought Cedric was going to out her at the tribal, and then everybody was just going to huddle up and start talking.
Yeah.
But also, there was a quote from Say at Tribal. Can't have a dynamic duo making it this far in the game, as she voted for Chrissy. Since when have Mitch and Chrissy been a dynamic duo?
I mean, they don't know what the dynamics were on original Siva, though. She's probably guessing on that.
Yeah, I just thought that it was just odd because they are far from dynamic duo.
Yeah, I don't know. I stopped trying to understand her at this point.
Even if they were a duo, dynamic is not something I would use to describe either Chrissy or Mitch.
Yeah.
But then
Thomas is storytelling. That is dynamic.
Yeah. You didn't really say anything about it, but Bianca went home in a 2-1-1.
Yeah, and Say was shocked by this. You could tell, like, Cedric left her out of whatever plan he came up with.
Right. And it really seemed out of left field almost.
Which, if you need a second vote, well, I was gonna say if you need a second vote, why wouldn't you go to Say? But I guess you needed one of the Sivas to make it a 2-1-1. Because if you bring in Say as your second vote, it's still a 2-2. Okay,
Yeah.
I answered my own question. Much like last week when I sat here and mapped out tribal if a steal a vote could have saved Thomas, I answered my own question eventually.
And I think we have differing opinions on that too. But
I think I came to the wrong answer, but it's very complicated math trying to figure out an answer to that question. There's a
yeah,
lot of guesswork there. It ultimately, maybe, maybe not. I don't know anymore on the if the steal a vote could have saved him.
I think my answer is no, but
It's too much
a lot.
guesswork. I'm not going to give a firm answer because I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I had from the tribal.
Okay, Align blindside first boot. Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
You can go first.
You don't sound very excited.
Why would I be?
Because I'm your favorite. I'm so nice to you all the time.
In this game, you are never nice to me.
I gave you Chrissy Hoffback one time. That's an easy first boot for you.
That's about as nice as you get. But then I have to talk about Chrissy Huffbeck.
So this time, pulling into my little fun bag of tricks,
Okay.
I got an idea halfway through the episode and didn't have a third person at the time. I've thought of a third person now.
Okay.
So you have Say, who we talked about as much as anyone this episode. Not usually good things, but we talked about her a lot. This not bashing on her, just she's playing things poorly. So you have Say, you have Rome, Mr. Rome Cooney from last season, and I'm leaning in so I can see your face because you're far away from your phone. Your third person I thought of a few minutes ago, Russell Hantz.
You use Russell Hantz too much on the line side.
I don't remember the last time I used it.
I do. It was like a month or two ago, probably.
I don't know. We don't post them as much as we used to, so I can't just go look it up because they're posted. I've used
Okay.
Brandon Hantz a couple times.
You used Brandon one week and Russell the next.
I should throw him in the same one next time you're on
Ew.
with Coach.
I'd be fine with that. Actually,
He drives me nuts.
I like Coach way better than you do. But by the way, I'm hearing a lot of Coach rumors for 50. So, but he said that he wasn't going to do it.
Honestly,
I'm confused because he said he wasn't going to do it.
I don't know. He says a lot of things.
Yeah.
If you watch especially his first season, which I don't think you've seen still, he tells a lot of outlandish stories that may or may not be true. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, this is so freaking good.
Okay.
Russell fits this category objectively, though, of just rubs people the wrong way.
Yes. Okay.
He's right. I did choose.
To tell you the truth, I want to say two different names for a line, and I don't think that you expected that.
Huh. I'm just laughing because when I said I might have an idea for a line blindside first boot halfway through, you basically told the audience I was choosing violence. And yeah, I kind of did.
You did. Okay.
At least it's not Nayanka, Colton, and Rob Z.
Yeah, well, Rob Z's not bad, but the other two, yeah.
Rob Z strangled a guy during a challenge, and he wasn't even in the attack zone.
But he apologized for it. He's fine.
And to be fair, I think if that person was who I remember it being, it was one of my least favorite people on the season anyway. So
Clay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Wasn't R.I.P. because I think he's dead now, but was not a fan of Clay when I was watching that season.
Okay, let me think. What do I want to do? I am going to
align with all three of them till Final Four.
I can't not align with Russell Hantz.
Yeah, but you're not a pretty young girl, so he might not want to align with you.
You convinced me. You convinced me otherwise. I'm gonna first boot Russell Hantz. I was looking for a reason not to align with him. I'm not a pretty young girl. That's enough reason for me.
You had me fooled.
Um, that should be your
Yeah.
thumbnail.
Do it one more
Um,
time. Okay, I have the screenshot now.
okay. Um, I'm gonna first boot Russell then. Yeah, because um, I don't want him on the jury, and I'm not a pretty young girl. So
I want to see him as a juror now that you said that. I've never thought about that.
I'm going to align with Say
Yeah.
because I don't think that she could get any votes at the end.
Yeah.
And I guess that means I'm going to blindside Rome.
I am going to, despite not being a young, attractive, hot girl, align with Russell because I know Russell can get to the end and is honestly, his social game aside, strategically, he's a great player.
He is.
And he's going whether he wants to or not, I'm deciding me and him are aligned here. So,
I would hate myself for 26 days, but
yes, but I win at the end. And because I'm
fair.
not convinced the other two can get to the end. And I'm sorry if I had to be aligned with someone who I'm going to follow you around everywhere and I'm not threatening you, I'm ultimatuming you. I would hate that just as much because I'd be embarrassed. Like, oh, this is how my ally is treating people. Not that Russell's that much better, but Russell's just the best player here. I'm not convinced the other two can get me to the end. Oh, what do I
Do
do
you
with
not
the
do
other
you
two
not
though?
trust your own play that other people have to get you to the end, Bruce?
No, I'm saying if I'm aligned with Rome or with Say, I think they would sink my game.
Look at Genevieve. She got fifth being aligned with Rome.
But she cut him at the right time. She
Yeah,
blindsided him.
yeah. I'm blindsiding Rome too.
When I say align, I'm thinking of like going to the end with that person.
I
And I
know.
don't think that strategy would work with Rome or with Say. I don't think we'd make it there.
That's fair.
But what do I do between the other two?
You kind of just answered it for yourself, but
Well, they're just kind of the same thing in my mind. I'm honestly trying to think of who I think is better in challenges because at this
oh,
point I blindside if a line is the first one I choose the person that'll be better in challenges to blindside at the merge because that'll help me stay away from tribal pre-merge.
I'd say Rome. Just don't give him a puzzle.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I forgot about that.
Uh
Yeah,
huh.
I'm gonna blindside Roman first boot save, but it's really six of one and a baker's dozen of the other with those two. I don't know. Half dozen.
I
Gosh,
was gonna say it's 6 or 13.
I, at some point in my life, that saying got mixed up in my head, and that's how I usually say it. And my mom corrects me, and I still like that's just how it's said in my mind. I confused baker's dozen with half dozen at some point, and that never
I'm
got switched
totally,
back.
I am totally clipping that for TikTok.
Good, and yeah, I'll have to tell her I accidentally said that on the show because she's corrected me on that a lot, and my mind just keeps saying it that way. Oh, that was not fun to decide between.
Mm-hmm.
Worth it though to watch you watch your reaction though.
Okay, I'm a lot nicer than you are. So I'm choosing three people who've had emotional moments on Survivor.
Oh, this is the feel good part. Yay.
None of them near as emotional as what we saw today or this week, but emotional nonetheless. First, Survivor 33, Hannah Shapiro with her um, like kind of panic attack at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, Survivor 43, Noelle Lambert as she struggled to get across the balance beam on her legs. And from Survivor 33 and 34, Zeke Smith, who got outed by Jeff Varner.
See,
All emotional in their own ways.
you had to you had to end on the Varner thing because my response, like, I'm gonna first boot Zeke because I just don't like his game style. He plays way too hard, way too quickly. But I feel bad first booting him right after you mentioned the Varner thing.
I had to justify why he was in this category.
I know, and like he had one his first season too with him and Brett, but
Yeah.
Brett LaBelle, not Brett from this show. But I just, and nothing against Zeke as a person. He didn't deserve what Varner did at all. I just, he plays way too hard and way too aggressively for my liking. So,
Hmm.
and my first instinct when you said Hannah was I'll align with her. She's somebody that's proven I can get to the end with and beat them. But then you said Noelle, and I love her also. I'm gonna align with Hannah and blindside Noelle, but it's close. What about you?
I still don't know what I'm gonna do because I love all three of these people. Um, Noel comes from my favorite tribe from season 43. Played a lot with my favorite player of the new era. Um, and then the other two come from my favorite newbie season of Survivor. So this is hard. Why did I do that to myself? Man.
I don't know. You like
Um,
33 better than 35?
yeah.
Huh.
As a season, yeah. I like Ben better than Adam, but as a season, I like 33 better.
I honestly think like Adam played fantastic and he has a great story. I think I would have voted for Hannah in that game.
Yeah.
And Adam has a great story and he was able to pull his mom out at like the story about his mom out at a good time. But I don't know. For some reason I just think I would have voted for Hannah with my jury vote.
Hmm.
And then Ken was there. I just
Oh,
remembered Ken was there.
hey, I just remembered. With that Survivor quiz, my four was 4-0 vote finalists, and one of those was Ken McNichol.
I just remembered he was there too.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm going to do the same thing as you.
Nice.
Hannah, very likable, somebody I could work with, somebody who also, like you said, it's proven you can go to the end and beat her. Noelle, I think she brings a lot of challenge, strength, likability stuff. I don't think I have a shot in hell at beating her in a final tribal.
Nope.
Zeke, I hate to first boot him.
I just don't
Um,
trust his gameplay.
that's not even the problem with me. I would love to play with Zeke. I just don't have another spot left.
Yeah, I just like I've seen what happens with David in his first season and kind of with Andrea his second season where like early on Zeke decides like I'm going to war with this person
Mm-hmm.
and like starts gathering numbers and I don't want to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want him to get super aggressive and me be the target of it pre-merge.
That's fair.
So, and that happened. David was pre-merge. I don't remember if Andrea was or wasn't, but he definitely was like going after her for a couple episodes somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. But David still finished in fourth place.
Yeah, David had the best storyline of the season that season. Going from like where he started to where he finished. He wins if he's at the end.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, this was fun. Thank you for filling in.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it. Always love coming on here and talking Survivor.
Check out Pit Stop Pals, New Generation Challengers, Redbubble Store, and Triangle Table Talk. With
What?
that being said, grab your torches and head back to camp. Bye, everyone.
Bye.